I've been seeing all of the like Valentine's things. I had one of my good friends, she posted and was like, don't be a dick, buy your girl like a Valentine's Day present. And so I was laughing, like everybody, like, I'm not going to lie, like I love gifts. I love new things. So sometimes I'm like, we should do it just so that we get a gift. But then I remember the stress of having to get him a gift. And I'm like, nope. So anyways, we actually don't do gifts for any holidays. We don't do Christmas. We don't do Valentine's. We try to keep birthdays to just experiences. So the gift is like planning something with the other person, but we don't do gifts. So it really has alleviated so much stress. And I don't know about you guys, like if you're stressful over, a lot of people enjoy it. So I will put this out there because I'm always trying to create a business for people who are good at these things. I have on my vision board a personal shopper. So one of the things that I want to hire somebody for is to literally have, I'm trying to turn off my music, but I literally want to hire somebody to have my whole like list of like my business team, my close friends, my family, my whoever, and like these are the things they like. I'm going to like help them create the business that I need them to create. So like you could do a survey that helps you learn about the person, and then boom, you're in charge of getting the gifts on the holidays, on their birthdays, on their anniversaries, or whatever. That is like a real thing. So if anybody on the line is looking for a side hustle and you are really good at buying gifts and you enjoy that, there's a business idea. You're welcome. And if you do it, please come to me because I will hire you because it's on my vision board. So if you know that it exists, but that's not you, refer them to me, please, because I'm dead serious. Like my husband, he thinks I'm crazy because my goal in life is to hire somebody to do every single thing that I don't enjoy doing. And that's a lot of things. That's cooking, that's cleaning, that's taking care of my kids sometimes, that's like buying gifts for people because I love gifts. Like I grew up, my grandmother was the best gift giver, like the best. And I loved it because it was so thoughtful. And so I realized because anytime you're triggered by something, you get to look within and ask yourself, why am I triggered by this? So I had to ask myself, why do I hate giving gifts? And I realized it was because I am so busy. I have so much on my plate that my expectation for a gift is something heartfelt, relevant, not just a gift card, not just I bought you something, but like I remember 4 months ago, you said you always wanted a this or a that, and I got it for you. Like, that's a gift to me. So because I couldn't meet that expectation in my life because of all I have on my plate, it was something that fell by the wayside. And so I realized that's why I'm not good at gifts. So I started telling myself this story, like, I don't do gifts. I don't like gifts. And so it works with me and my husband because it's more of like an agreement that it's one less person to stress about. And we gift each other all the time. Like we're constantly thinking about each other, then we buy something or whatever. So it works for us. But with other people, I want to be able to give them the gift. So that was a tangent. I hope what you can take from that is when you're triggered, it's because of something you're dealing with. So look within and also like explore, why are you triggered? And so that was when it was actually really cool to self-evaluate that because I was able to realize that I love my grandma and her gifts. And I always admired the way she gave gifts. And that was where I set my standard for gift giving. So it was kind of a cool reflection. We don't do Valentine's gifts either. Yeah. So, I mean, if you do them, I love watching it. So post about them. I love seeing the gifts. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to do them. We just don't. So I love it. So thank you guys for being here. I'm really excited about this. If you know me, if you've been connected with me over the years, you know that I pivot a lot. And what I mean by pivot is when I'm inspired by something, I just do it. And then if it doesn't work for me, it goes away. And if it does, it stays. So I'm hoping that Girl Talk with Crystal will stay. The one way for sure I know it will stay is if you guys stay coming and you guys stay bringing people and you guys stay getting value from it. If no one's getting value, you're not going to come, you're not going to be here. And then I'm going to be like, okay, that's not where my time needs to go. And so that's how I operate in my business is how can I add value? And right now, where Girl Talk came from, it was yesterday when we thought about it and we launched it yesterday. So it wasn't something, it looked all prepared because I had a landing page, but that's because I have a new team member who is in her zone of genius. So when I think of an idea, she makes it pretty in like 5 minutes, where it used to take me like a day to figure out. And so what I messaged her to say was, I'm like, I go live really random, and I'm working with an intern right now, and he is 16 years old, and he's working on my YouTube channel. And he was like, your YouTube sucks. He's like, your videos are all like when you go to like a channel, and if you like, I didn't even ever think of this. So now you'll think of YouTube so different now. But the next time you go to YouTube, recognize which pages jump out at you. It's the ones that have a pretty cover. It's called a thumbnail. Didn't know that, but it's called a thumbnail. So like, instead of the page being like a bunch of just random pictures with a picture of me being like that's how I look on my YouTube. Like all of them are like it's like me mid-sentence, and then I just upload it and I'm gone. He's like, no. So he put thumbnails over my videos. He privated all my videos, and I committed to leveling up my videos because I'm committed to growing my reach and the work that I put out there, and that requires me to level up the way I do it. And so I told him, when I put out a video, I will at least have it this way, like horizontal, and then you can create a thumbnail for me. I share that to say, I was like, I go live. The problem with the promise that I'm telling you I'm going to do is I go live when I have a spur of the moment, something I want to talk about. Like my MO is like, this worked for me yesterday. I got to share it with my following because this might help them, or this might help somebody, or somebody probably needs to hear this. And then I just go live, I download it, and I upload it to YouTube. So I am doing this as an organized way, that as I think of those spur of the moment things, I'm writing down notes. Plus, as you guys, I've already had a lot of DMs of people sending me topics. So as I get them just every week, I'm going to be talking about them right here. So even if not everyone shows up, I'm still doing them, and then they'll go to my YouTube channel. So I would love for you to stay coming live, because what I do know for sure is life is busy, and the best things in life happen in the moment. So if you say like, oh, I love her stuff, but I'm going to watch it later, chances are life will consume you and you'll never get to watching it. So I'd love for you to stay live, but just know that that's how Girl Talk came about. It's just all the things that I love to talk about in an organized fashion. And I wanted to invite you here because my other problem with Instagram and Facebook Live is that I can only talk to myself, and then I can't see people, and I feed off of energy of people. Like if I can just see one person being like, yes, or whatever, it'll keep me engaged and thinking of how I can more serve you. And it's like, I just keep going and going on giving versus feeling like, is anyone here? Or when you're on live and you see like 3 people are there and then no one's talking and they have to type their question. So here you can actually come on and talk back. So those are the reasons why I did Girl Talk with Crystal. The way I'm going to set it up is I'm going to strive to have topics so that you can feel like there's so much information overload out there. You could be like, I don't really feel like hearing about sex and marriage, so I'm going to skip that week. And then, I want to hear about why I'm really feeling unfulfilled, which is what we're going to talk about right now. And then you can hop on. So that's why I'm going to try to title them. And so I just have a short little, I'm going to have like a short little, I don't want to say training, but like a give of information for you. And then I'll come off and you guys can ask me questions and we can chat a little bit. So how do I define feeling unfulfilled? Because today's topic is really the real reason why you're feeling unfulfilled in your life. And so I define unfulfilled as you may have everything. Like you may have the house, the family, the kids, the career, the everything of what that looks like to you. In my opinion, being fulfilled looks different for everybody. Some people, I have friends who don't want a family. They don't want any of that. They don't want a house. There's plenty of people who are like, I don't want a house. I want to travel. So being fulfilled doesn't mean you have X, Y, Z. In my mind, it means you're going to bed at night, like excited about what you did, even if your day was like a shit show and like your kids drove you nuts, your husband pissed you off, your significant other pissed you off, your friends made you mad, you had a bad day at work, you got cut off on the road, whatever maybe happened in your day, you go to bed on your pillow with a good morale of like, I'm doing good in the world, I'm like giving to people, I'm contributing. The 2 core foundations of human nature is growth and contribution. So to me, fulfillment comes from doing those things. The number one human nature thing is survival. So, and here I'm having like an allergy attack, sorry. So your brain goes into survival mode. So once you take care of survival mode, the two next things that your brain is in charge of having is growth and contribution. So I want you to think of that as we go into these next 3 reasons why I feel like you're unfulfilled, if that's you, is where am I growing in my life and what am I contributing to? And if those 2 things are missing, that's really one of the reasons why I think that you have some feelings of being unfulfilled. And then on the contrary of that, so you're going to bed feeling like I'm doing something, I can't wait to wake up tomorrow. If you're like me, you don't go to bed early because you're a night owl and you're not excited to wake up early in the morning, but you're excited to wake up. Like when I wake up, it may not be at 5 in the morning, I may not be springing out of the bed, but when I do spring out of the bed, even if it's at 7:30 and not 5, then I'm excited. I can't wait. I have a to-do list that's in alignment with my vision, and you're feeling fulfilled. So I want to stop right there. And I want to just ask if there's anybody who feels like you have a different definition of fulfillment, or that you would want to add to the conversation. Or if you agree, then I'm going to ask you to interact with me here and throw some hearts in the chat. Like literally, put a heart, put your favorite emoji, whatever it is that you want to do. I want to just hear if you would agree that that's kind of what fulfillment is connected to. And again, I muted you guys. So someone's raising their hand. Ashley, do you want to unmute? Do you want to come on? I got some hearts. That resonates with me. Whoop, whoop. Ashley, are you raising your hand to say something? So I'm going to keep talking. Ashley, you're welcome to unmute and come on, or just type in, oh, no, LOL, just hearting. Okay, cool. So I'm going to lower your hand just so that if you want to raise it again, I'll see it again. So what I want to further say is by the age of 25, people are usually stuck in their ways of life, in the sense of like you've graduated high school, probably college if you went to college, and you're now in your career. Uh-oh, am I frozen? Yeah. Okay, hold on.
Yes.
Okay, I'm frozen. That's going to be weird. Hold on. I'm going to log on my phone too so that I can not be frozen. You guys are going to just have to ignore me on this one. And then I will go on here so that I want to keep the recording going. So, uh-oh. Sorry, guys. This is the devil, just so you know. The devil will try to come in. So thank you, devil. I know I'm doing something good right now because you were really trying to do it today, but that's all right. So here we go. Oh no, now I'm gonna get like a shot. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do it like, oh no. Sorry, guys. All right. This is the best I can do. I want to like keep going through and not get caught in this. So what are your thoughts around fulfillment linked to happiness? So, okay. Oh, I'm upside down. Hold on. There we go. Okay. That's a great question. Here's how I am. Is there an echo or am I good for you guys? Okay, I'm good. So here's how I think of happiness and fulfillment. I think that happiness is a temporary, like you've heard the concept of like seek joy, like happiness. I believe, like, for example, people will say things like, um, money doesn't make you happy. Well, when I get money, I get happy. When I spend money, I'm happy, especially when it's on something that I want. So I think that happiness is just a temporary emotion and joy is a choice. So you get to, this is really driving me nuts. I'm like, what? Let me see if I'm still frozen on my computer. Oh, I'm not frozen anymore. Okay, I can get off because that was like too much. So joy is a choice that you get to choose. Like last night, I shared this on my mom call this morning, how Nola, my baby girl, was up all night. And it was to the point where I was getting irritable and I was just like, oh my God, I can't do this. And then I chose to find joy in, like, you know what? Maybe she just wanted more time with me because I have a babysitter goes, like, keep my girls Monday through Wednesday during the like school hours, and I work. So I'm like, maybe she just wanted to hang out with me more. And I'm just grateful that I have a baby that's alive and well that I get to hug on and be up at night with. And I took myself to choose joy instead of choosing to focus on the fact that I was freaking tired and I was irritated that I wasn't sleeping. And it like instantly shifted my perspective. So when someone says that to my husband, he says, let me see you frown on a jet ski. Yes. Like, I am the first one to say, not the first one, but I am the first one to admit, like, I will join that parade of people who say money can buy happiness. I believe that wholeheartedly because happiness is a thing that happens and it goes. And so fulfillment to me is more it's more like joy. It's a choice. You can choose. If you're unfulfilled right now, if you wake up tomorrow still unfulfilled, you're choosing to be unfulfilled because you have the power to do things that make you feel fulfilled, whether that's growing. And so, like, where I want to go back to where I left off before the computer went crazy is, like, for example, the reason why 25 and up kind of get stuck in life and they stop growing is because they start living their life in autopilot and they go into this phase of life where they're like, okay, I got my job. You may change jobs here and there or whatever, but okay, I got my job. And then you just start living, or I started my family, and then you start living. Like, it's not that being a mother, for example, isn't fulfilling, or being a wife isn't fulfilling, or having a job you enjoy or makes good money isn't fulfilling. That could be fulfilling. I am very fulfilled by being a mother. But when I was not focused on who I am at the core, and this is going to roll me into number one reason why I feel like you're unfulfilled, is I believe that every human being has an identity outside of their roles. So if you're on this call and you're a wife or a mother, you can be fulfilled by being a wife and a mother, but I would argue that there's something inside of you that wants more if you feel like you're just a wife and a mother. So now, don't get me wrong. There's people who they want to be homemaker 100%. They want to stay home with their kids, be the, like, I'll say trophy wife, but like, I don't even know what that means, but like, be the perfect wife. And they have no desire to pursue a career, to pursue a hobby, to pursue outside connection. But I just argue that we all have a calling within us that's not connected to our family. And that's just my personal opinion. And I believe it to be true because what about the people who never get married? What about the people who don't have kids? Now, granted, maybe we all have our own calling, and some of our calling is to be a mom and be fulfilled by that. But then what happens when your kids grow up and they're on their own? What happens to the parents who lose children? Unfortunately, God forbid that ever would happen to somebody, but it does. So, like, I just feel like our identity is not attached to our roles. A mother who loses a child, a father who loses a child is not human anymore because their child isn't there. They have a calling outside of that. And I feel like that is the yearning. So if you're in this rat race of like, one of the things I always teach women is like, laundry and dishes are never going to end. So stop choosing laundry and dishes over your fulfillment. And what I mean by that is like, there's plenty of days in my household that my husband will be like, the house is getting kind of messy. And I'm like, okay, it's time to focus on that and make that a priority. But in the in-between time, laundry and dishes are not a priority because I have things that I'm doing that are fulfilling me. Folding laundry does not fulfill me. So like, I just feel like I would encourage you to think of, what am I giving to the world, and what am I contributing, and how am I growing? And that is attached to your identity as well, because I believe identity, my definition of identity, and this is not a Google definition, this is the Crystal definition. Identity in my mind is a person who chooses to show up every day authentically themselves, chooses to be self-aware enough to realize where they need to grow, and chooses to take action on growing in those areas and being a better human being every single day, so that when they show up authentically as a better version of themselves, they can be who God created them to be. And because of them standing in that power, just by being who they are, the world is a better place because of their existence. That's what identity means to me. So I know that was a long-winded like definition, but basically what I'm saying is, if you are waking up every day striving to be a better version of yourself, I feel like you will be fulfilled, because human nature is to be challenged. If you're not being challenged, like, it is a challenge to do housework. It is a challenge to take care of your kids, but it's also an autopilot thing. Maybe not taking care of kids, because kids are different all day, every day, and they grow and all that. But but are you being challenged, or are you doing those things on autopilot? So that's like the number one thing that I would say is explore, what it is. For example, I have a girl who's taking my Fox Project program right now, and she told me that she's never we start the program with a module on, and I actually asked my VA yesterday, and I don't know if she's here, but I asked her if we could create my first module of the Fox Project as a freebie, because I feel like I talk identity so much that even if people don't join my program to go deeper, I want them to just at least start. But what this girl did when she started, and she did this first module, which is it's like a 10-page workbook of who am I? What do I do? What am I good at? What is my gift? What is my contribution? She was like, I've never thought of these questions. I literally go to work every day. I come home, I'm so tired to even be a wife and a mom, but I barely make it by. And I go to sleep and I wake up and I do it all over again. And this packet was a challenge for me, because I struggled with facing the reality that I have no idea what the answer is to these questions, but also that I've gone this long and I haven't even gone there, and I'm not doing that. And so, that's what I feel like identity is it's what are you contributing? So be on the lookout for that, because we're figuring out how to do that so that I can offer that to anybody who maybe feel like I don't like to give information and not give a solution. So first of all, I welcome anybody who wants to join into the program to do that, but because we're not enrolling right this moment, I wanted to give something. The second thing is vision. And if you guys know me, you're going to be like, oh, here she goes again with the vision. But I just feel like if you don't have a vision, and I'm going to even say, if you don't have a vision board, that's number one, get that done, and then let's see how unfulfilled you are. Because if you're striving, human nature is to challenge yourself, to fail forward, to make mistakes. I heard, I went to the Rachel Hollis movie premiere, and her husband said something from the stage that I was like, oh my gosh. He said that if you're what did he say? To have the absence of fear is to have the absence of fulfillment. I mean, not failure, sorry. So basically it was something along those lines. And it resonated with me so much, because that's exactly what I believe. That's why I teach what I teach, because if you're afraid of failing and doing something, then you're not going to be fulfilled. So how do we fail? We have to be doing something outside of the autopilot. And so this is where it's if you're not doing something on a daily basis or a weekly, monthly basis, that you're striving towards a goal and you miss the goal, or you're striving towards getting a promotion, or like imagine if you've ever gone for a promotion at work and you got it. That feels fulfilling because you challenged yourself, you met a goal, and you grew. In order to get that promotion, you had to become a better person. It's fulfilling to celebrate another anniversary each year because you're like, man, I had to grow this year. I made it. I didn't call it quits with my significant other. And like, you're still here. You grew. So anything that challenges you is allowing you to fail forward and grow. And that's fulfillment. So when it comes to vision, if you don't have vision of where you're going, and a lot of people shy away from setting vision for their life because they feel like they don't want to fail. And they don't want to not meet the goal. So I'm not going to set the goal because then I have no expectation. And a lot of people will even hide behind their kids and be like, oh, I'm a mom. I'm too busy. I can't do this. I can't do that. And that's actually a scapegoat. And it's an easy way to let yourself off, because who's going to argue with you that you need to leave your kids and do something other than take care of them? Like, that sounds like the right thing to do. But I argue, this is another one of my stands that could piss people off. I argue that if you only tend to your kids 24/7 and you don't do anything for yourself, you're hurting your kids more than you could ever help them. Because number one, you're teaching your kids that the world revolves around them, and that's not the real world. They're going to go into the real world and be like, holy crap, they don't drop to my beck and call like my mom did. And number two, they're never going to have their own independence because they're watching you not have independence. And they don't do what we tell them to do, they do what we do. And so this is why I think a lot of people in our coming generation have put off parenting. And like, I have plenty of friends who don't even want to have kids. And some of them, for their just own reasons, they just don't want them. But some of them are like, I don't want kids because I'm not about to be putting myself on hold. And I'm on this mission to say, you don't have to put yourself on hold to have kids. Like, I want to have a couple more kids if they're going to be boys, and I'm still going to be thriving in my life. I'm not putting anything on hold because I've learned how to manage when I'm in alignment with my vision and my goals, then I can do anything I want to do. So number two is having that vision. I'm going to stop because I see some comments, and this is a chat. So if anybody wants to say amen, does anybody want to come on and say anything while I read these comments? I would welcome you.
Hey, Crystal.
Hi.
Hi. So I agree with everything you're saying. And to your point about not dropping everything for the kids and kind of like being challenged daily with fulfillment, what I find for myself is what I'm facing now is that the issues that I have within myself are now being reflected back to me through my children. So I have some issues with consistency within my own personal life, but now that lack of consistency is coming back to bite me with my children. So it's like every day I'm striving to be a little bit better with that, but I'm putting out little fires left and right because I have 4 kids and they're constantly growing, and unfortunately mistakes I've made are now, becoming mistakes with them that I'm going to have to correct. So yeah. It's who's like, even though right it's Najla.
Oh, I can't. Okay. Oh, so I'm like, I see your picture, but okay. Thank you. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's okay. So I just find that even though I'm striving to be better every day, I know I haven't put in the work for the growth because I feel like I'm backtracking and going back and trying to fix little mistakes. So that's kind of what I'm facing now. But I've never made a vision board, so that's something I do need to get on.
Yeah. Okay. So number one, you got to do that. So can we go deeper? Can you give me an example? Because I feel like everything you just said is like so vague that I'm like, well, we all make mistakes as parents. We all, like, first of all, I believe that our kids are reflections of us so that we can become better human beings. And when you, like, if you haven't read the book, The Conscious Parent, I recommend that hands down to every parent and a parent to be, because, like, one of the things that I learned from that book was like a holy crap moment of, our job as mothers is not to raise up the perfect child and send them off in the world. Actually, our job as mothers is to become a better person because of our kids challenging us to become so. And then they're going to grow up and become better human beings. Now, if you are a human that doesn't have kids and you never do have kids, I'm not saying that you don't have anything that grows you. I believe that God puts other things in your path to grow you. But I believe that that is one of the things that comes in the path of a parent. So with that being said, like, can you give an example so we can maybe try to problem solve? Because otherwise it's like, I don't know exactly how to help on that.
So, okay, for instance, it's just the way the way I solve things. So I'm a habitually late person, and that's stressful when you have 4 kids because I have 4 people to drop off. But in that moment, I have heightened state of anxiety, and so I start barking and yelling at the kids like, let's go, and I get very impatient. Well, now I see that when my children are in a heightened state of anxiety, that's how they respond. And they snap on each other, and then they're fighting, and then I'm putting out fires when it's just like, oh wait, we could just, there's a better way to handle this.
Yeah.
And even though I'm fixing that now, the I don't want to say the damage, but the issue is already there with them. The behavior is already learned for them. So
yeah. So what comes up for me is I'm laughing because my husband, every single time, and it's often that I complain about my oldest especially, but really with all of my kids, like I'll literally be like, so you're going to come in here and you're going to tell me da, 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 and he will turn his head and be like, that's your life. Like, that's you. So like the fact, like, number one, I kid you not, that book is like so eye-opening, and I warn you, when I got done reading it, I felt like the worst parent in the world, and I felt like I ruined my kids. But she helps you rest assured that no matter where you're at in your parenting journey, it's never too late. And when I hear you, when you're cautioning, saying the damage is done, because it's one of those things that, like, the damage is done to that point, but here's the fulfillment part. For all of you guys who are not parents, like, please see yourself in this conversation. This is just a problem. Everything in life is a problem solution. So like, find yourself in this issue of basically what Najla is saying is you have a bad habit of being late, and you are snapping because of it, and it's causing your kids to be snappy, and then now you're like, how do I break this cycle? Well, because I live this every day, here's what I like want to say. Number one, you get to choose to not be late anymore. So stop affirming that you're habitually late. Like, I personally got rid of every shirt that I owned, and I owned a lot of them, that was like, running late is my cardio and I'm always running late. Like, I was affirming it. So when you say you are, you are. So if you continue to say I am always late, then you're going to always be late. So now when I catch myself saying I'm always late, and I feel like I said it earlier on my last call, I think to myself, I am striving to not be late anymore. But now it's gotten to the point where bad habits are just bad habits. And so the way that you get to work through that is to just not do them anymore. And so you get to decide. Just yesterday, I got to decide, when I watched my daughter snap back at me because she was mad that we were late yet again, the only solution to that is me waking my butt up earlier. So I don't know what you need to do on your end, but you get to problem solve and figure out, like, and this goes for everybody, wherever you're stuck in your life with a habit, whether it's your eating, whether it's your being late, whether it's X, Y, Z, you get to figure out why are you in that problem, and then you get to choose not to do it anymore. So like, every time you snooze your alarm, or this is me, when I snooze my alarm, I'm choosing to have another snappy day because I'm going to probably be late. But if I get up at 6 in the morning or earlier, and when I do that and I have a good day and I do my morning routine and I'm up before my kids, I don't have a snappy day. Everybody's in a better mood, but it's a choice.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. But, and so I thank you for asking that. And what, like, somebody asked what was number one. So number one reason why I feel like you are unfulfilled is because you don't have that sense of identity, aka growth and contribution. Number two is you don't have vision. Vision kind of goes along with that growth, which is setting a future goal for your life to where you can focus on moving yourself forward. And then number three is your village. So I just think we underestimate how powerful the people who we surround ourselves with actually is. And this gets to go for you, whether it's social media. Like, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you may not hang out with people other than your kids. Think about that for a second. If you literally only hang out with your kids at home, what kind of who are you becoming? You're becoming like toddlers or 10-year-olds or 11-year-olds. So you get to decide, I need a village outside of my kids. I need to stay growing as a woman. I need to stay growing as a human. I can't just be surrounded by my kids. So this goes back to like remembering that you can't just stop your life for your kids. You're hurting yourself. And so then the second part of that is your village. So like if it's who you're hanging around at work, like you get to set boundaries. If there's people that are just constantly bringing negative conversation, maybe what you get to do to problem solve is you get to say, I'm going to put my headphones in and I'm actually reading a book. I'm reading a book right now. I can't talk today. And you get to just start setting those boundaries. Or, you know, I'm not going to go to lunch today. I'm going to start eating lunch by myself because I want to start focusing on eating better foods. Like this is a boundary that I got to set. So who you hang around is such a powerful piece because you become who you hang around. And so if you're feeling unfulfilled, chances are the people you're around, you're like not growing. They're not stretching you. So I believe in this village. And one of the DMs that I got for a topic was how to create a village. And I was thinking to myself, like, oh, I'm gonna talk about that. But I'm not gonna talk about how to create a village today, only because I want to keep these calls. I really wanted to keep them closer to 30 minutes. So today was a good gauge to see like how long we can go. But I'm going to go into the village more. And I actually have a whole campaign that I'm actually working on right now to go out in the coming months around a village. So that will come. But I'm setting the seed right now that start being mindful of who you are hanging around. If you're in isolation, you're probably unfulfilled because humans need connection. And then if you're connected to people, who are you connected to? Who are you following on social media? Who are you listening to? Who are you reading? Who are you going and listening to? Like if you're going to conferences or events, who are you being influenced by? Who are you hanging around? Where are you spending your extra time? So if it's nobody, then you know you get to work on getting around people. And if it's somebody, then you get to manage who those somebodies are. So those were my 3 things. My goal of this call is to keep it short and sweet because we're going to do them weekly and it's an ongoing thing. And so I don't want to overwhelm with information. I really want to give some things. So I would like for you guys I'm going to give the opportunity to open up and ask another question. But in the meantime, I would like for you to type in the chat one thing that you are going to apply or take away. And if you didn't get something, then I think you should ask the question. So what is something that was an aha for you today, or something that you feel like brought value to your life that you can add? And I'm going to read, yes, the book name is The Conscious Parent. So if you had any takeaways that you're going to apply or ahas, I'd love for you to type them. Is there anybody before we go that wants to ask anything or add anything? Or even if you don't want, because there's no ahas, so maybe you don't want to type what you took away, just say yes or no, was this helpful? Or what would you like to see the next topic be? Anything, like just don't leave the chat blank, please, because then I will be like, okay, that didn't work. And then I might pivot. Just kidding. I won't pivot that fast. But
well, one thing I'd like to add is the fact that like I do agree that like I'm obviously like I'm not a wife or I'm not a mother myself, but I do believe that like my mom, like she's always been working, and like my parents have always been working, so I always feel that like I become like my mom like every single day, because every single day like I'm always striving to be better. I'm always striving to be more productive and like, you know, go to the gym even though I don't feel like I want to go, but like I push myself to go because I know my parents would do that. And so like I definitely agree with the fact that like what your parents do, or like what the child would say to the parent was going to help them grow. Because I think that when I used to have my mom, and she wouldn't understand stuff about like what I was going through in college or even now, like she understands and she grows like with me, and I grow with her.
I love that. And you know what's coming up for me as you're saying that? one of the influencers that I follow very closely, his name's Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V, and I love one of the things that he talks about, and I literally told my husband, I'm like, I want to like share stage with him and like drive this concept home. He talks about how most people are, and I actually like didn't even think about this when I was thinking of like, why do I feel people are unfulfilled? Most people are unfulfilled simply because they're living their life to please other people. And so what he says is, he talks about parents, and he says that a lot of people are literally trapped in this bubble of, I have to do this job because my parents want me to be a doctor, or I have to do this job because my parents want me to have a better life than they had, or I have to do this because that's what other moms in my community are doing, or I have to say that because if I don't, then blah, blah, blah. Live your life. Like, this goes back to identity. This goes back to like, if you are in alignment with your identity, you are showing up authentically you. And part of that means you're going to piss people off. You're going to have people disagree with you. And you're going to make some people not be proud of you because they have different expectations from you. And usually that's your own parents. So that's what's coming up for me as you're sharing that. And that goes for us who are parents of little kids. Stop having these expectations for your kids that are what you want for them. Start opening them up and letting their identity come out, and listening to what are the desires of their heart. When you do your vision board, Najla, do it with your kids. What do they want? Like when I did it with my kids, one of my kids wants to own a horse. Now it's like in the back of my mind, like, that's awesome. Like, she's into horses. Maybe she should take like some horse classes or whatever. But it's like opening up like identity things. It's opening up desires of their heart instead of me imposing, you're going to do soccer, or you're going to do track, or you're going to go to school, or you're going to do this, or you're going to do that. Like, no, what do they want to do? We could stop training people up to be under the dominion of their parents, and then go to high school and be under the dominion of the school system, and then go to college just to get a degree, to get out of college and be in a job that we don't even like, and we're still broke with debt. Like, if we could start our kids off with just, what do you want to do? What are you good at? What do you want to give to the world? And we can cultivate that. We can start fulfillment a lot earlier on. But we really have to kill like doing life for the approval of others. And that's a big one. Like, that actually should have been one of the three, that to me is like a next level to the number one, is like, when you're in alignment with your identity, you're not living for the approval of others. So that's why I didn't think of it as a number, but it's like one of my number one things. Authenticity and transparency is core. Like, if you're hiding behind your tragedies and your traumas, you're probably unfulfilled because you're living in your tragedy and your trauma. Let it out. Who cares? Like people, the world does, and this is what Gary Vee says, the world doesn't care that something bad happened to you. The world goes on. So what you get to do is you get to decide, how can I grow from this? How can I heal from this? How can I give back to this? Who can I help because I went through this? And so that's another thing that holds us victim to not being fulfilled, is we hold on to, I'm this and I'm that, and when I grew up, this happened to me. And I'm not being non-empathetic. Like, I'm trying to like rush through this, so like I'm not stopping there and giving condolences. But I'm not saying don't feel it. I'm not saying don't acknowledge it. But I'm saying, like, don't hide behind it. Don't sulk in it. Feel it, acknowledge it, and grow from it. Grow through it. And that goes back to the number one thing. Are you growing? Are you growing past your past and your history? Or are you staying stuck and being a victim of your circumstance? Because if you are, then you're going to be unfulfilled, because you're going to be living with this halo of past regret, shame, all these different things. So there's like tons of comments coming by here. But I think it's you guys saying what you took away. So growing from the past, yeah. And Nira, we're, like, I mean, I'm just glad that we're connected, and I appreciate you for sharing that. And I know that I believe in my heart that your biggest challenge is where you might be being called to serve. And so when I think of you, and when I like connect with your story, I don't even know that much, but just the short time that you've been in the program with me, it's like, I literally see so much for you, because I'm like, wow, like the past that you've had, the amount of lives that you can help get out of that. Do you know how much fulfillment will come from that? Do you know how much healing? Like, when you are able to help other people, you start to heal yourself. And so like, I hope that you'll continue this path of growing through this, because there's a lot of people who can really have a better life because of you showing up in your mess. And by mess, I mean your past, you know? So thank you guys for sharing. Please email me. You have my email, DM me, whatever form of communication you have with me with other topics, things that come up, things that, it's not just things that you necessarily think of, Crystal knows the answer to this, but think more of like, how can I create this as one of my villages, one of my safe places, and we can learn from each other. So I hope that over the weeks, you guys will get comfortable with coming and sharing your 2 cents and getting comfortable so that you're able to create this space of conversation where we can all grow together. So I am going to be hanging on because I want to read through these comments before I hang up. But other than that, I want to thank you guys for being here. If this was helpful for you, if you feel like somebody could benefit from being on this call in this village with us, please send them not the link to Zoom, but send them the link that you registered with. And if you joined because you were already on my list and you got the direct link, there should have been like a PS, share this link. The reason why I asked you to do that is because that way they can join on my list of getting the notifications and the reminders, so it's like they're in the loop versus like just you texting them a link and then they forget about it. If they register, then they'll get the reminders, and that way when they're ready to actually show up, they will. So if it was helpful for you, I would love for you to share it with someone who you think that it could benefit, and I hope that you'll come back and you'll send more topics. So thank you guys so much for being here. Have a happy Valentine's. Today's Galentine's Day, so let's celebrate this new village that we're creating. Not that it's new, we've been kind of here, but now we're here together on a different level. So have a good one. Lots of love to you guys, and I will talk to you soon. And like I said, I'm still here because I want to read these comments.